Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Amber and this is my first YouTube video being posted to this channel, which is Amber and Baby. So to give you a little bit about me and why you're here today, I'm sure that you've read the title of this video, which is 20 and 9 months pregnant. So I am 20 years of age currently, living in Victoria of Australia. I'm creating this channel pretty much because obviously being 20 and not knowing a whole lot about pregnancy, this is my first pregnancy, is my first baby, not knowing a lot about postpartum, not knowing a lot about what I need to be doing and what to expect and what to pack in my hospital bag and everything like that, I turned to YouTube. And YouTube is such an amazing platform. It's got so many videos full of information that can help with whatever questions you may have. However, I found that a lot of the videos were catered toward people living in America. YouTube is so much bigger overseas than it is here in Australia, and there's just a lot more American YouTubers than there is Australian. So I found that I was turning to a lot of people who had amazing information, but we're buying a lot of their products and we're talking about their experiences in the hospitals when our Australian healthcare system is very different to the American. So I wanted to make a channel where people could come and have information on what it's like being pregnant in Australia and what it's like being pregnant at 20 years old, even though I did fall pregnant when I was 19. A disclaimer, this is not going to be everybody's story. I myself planned my pregnancy with my partner. So if you are on this video and you are pregnant now or feel you may be pregnant or are around my age and you didn't plan your pregnancy, there is still a whole lot you can learn from this video and a whole lot you're going to be able to gain from my channel. However, my story starts with my partner and we did plan our pregnancies. So we moved into our house in February. I was working, I'm obviously now 9 months pregnant and on maternity leave. However, I was working as a curriculum leader in a childcare. So I was a part of a management team and that was my full-time job. I worked 5 days a week and my partner still does work as a plumber 5 days a week. However, right now he is on his Chrissy holiday break, which is amazing because we're just being able to get the last kind of things ready for Bub and his nursery. You guys hear clinging. Halt! Do you want to come say hello to everybody? Come here. If you guys hear someone moving around, that is my little man, Halty boy. So he will probably be walking around in this video and may be up on the bed behind me. So 2 months into living into our house, the month of March, so toward the end of March, my partner and I started talking about where we wanted our lives to kind of go, when we wanted to start having children, when we wanted to get married. Obviously, we just, as a couple, wanted to discuss what our kind of plan roughly was. At the time, the start of last year, start of 2020, I had, and I have had for many years, cysts on my ovaries. So I was always told that I would probably struggle falling pregnant. It wouldn't be an easy thing for me and it would take quite a lot of time. So taking that into consideration, my partner and I, in the month of March, toward the end of March, did start talking about how maybe it would be time to start trying for our family. That way, if it took a year to 2 years, at least we knew that that's how long it was taking, and eventually could plan for things like IVF or any of our other options that we may possibly have or have to come to at some point. He's very distracting. So in the month of April, we fell pregnant. So we fell pregnant very quickly. Obviously we found out we were pregnant in May when I took a pregnancy test and it was positive, but we did fall pregnant the first month of trying. So we were extremely blessed and extremely lucky to have started our family so early. Obviously we were expecting to possibly struggle, so when we didn't, we were over the moon, blessed and excited. However, at the time I was still 19. So I have turned 20 since then, but being 19 and pregnant, obviously it was something that we wanted and we were planning. However, we didn't feel as though it would happen so fast. However, we were extremely blessed and grateful. Before I fell pregnant and before we started trying for a baby, I actually did speak to my boss. So being in the management team already, I did have someone higher up than me, and I did speak to her about whether I was going to be eligible for maternity leave, our finances, if the company would still keep my position, everything like that. That was something that I was able to factor in because I planned my pregnancy. I was able to kind of figure out when I wanted to take maternity leave, how long I wanted to take, how long the company would support. Obviously, if you weren't planning on getting pregnant, this is going to be something you're going to have to talk about with your employers now, obviously once you're pregnant or during your pregnancy. So obviously when we did fall pregnant, I told my boss quite early on, just because I did suffer quite heavily with morning sickness in my first trimester. So the first couple of weeks being pregnant, I found out I was pregnant I hadn't even missed my period yet. I'd taken a test out of excitement because we were trying and it came up positive. So I found out very early on. I was probably only 3 to 4-ish weeks pregnant when I found out that I was. My morning sickness started when I was 6 weeks pregnant, and I'm going to be 38 weeks pregnant tomorrow, and I still am suffering from morning sickness, so it hasn't gone away, which is something that I will go into a little bit further later on in this video. So I did tell my boss quite early on, just so she kind of understood if I was taking days off work or if I was at work and had to go to the toilet and vomit. Ew, I know, gross, but unfortunately that's just a big part of pregnancy. If you are lucky, you may not get morning sickness, but I know it is quite common for a lot of women to experience it. So I myself had it quite bad at the start, so I did discuss with my boss quite early on that I was pregnant, and obviously she knew that we were going to try, so she was extremely excited and extremely supportive of my circumstances, which made the experience a lot easier of an experience than it would be if I had fallen pregnant unplanned and we didn't have that conversation beforehand. So we told our family when I was probably about 7 to 8 weeks pregnant. We told his parents and my siblings. We didn't tell everybody else or announce our pregnancy until I was 12 weeks pregnant, which is quite common just because they then say that that's your safe zone, although there isn't ever a definite safe zone in pregnancy. However, most miscarriages, if you were to have one, do happen before 12 weeks of gestation. So at 12 weeks, we announced I was pregnant. So everyone at work at this point knew, all the girls at work knew, all of our friends and family knew, and it was quite an exciting time. However, being 19 and pregnant, even though we planned it, obviously we weren't going around telling everyone we were planning to get pregnant, as I was expecting to struggle. So it wasn't something that we were wanting to tell everybody in case it took me a long period of time. So because we fell pregnant so young, there was a lot of judgment. And I'm sure if you are my age and you are pregnant, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Although a lot of your family may be really supportive and a lot of your friends may be, you just know that there's a lot of people that also are going to judge your situation and your circumstances. And unfortunately, that's just something that kind of comes with the territory of being pregnant so young. So moving on from my first trimester into my second trimester. So you move into your second trimester when you hit 12 weeks pregnant. My morning sickness did continue and has continued the whole way through my pregnancy. However, in the second trimester, I did notice that it slowed down a little bit. So I wasn't vomiting as much. I started to feel a little bit better, although I did still experience a lot of the symptoms, a lot of the migraines, a lot of just the nausea and food aversions. I didn't have as much of the vomiting as I did in the first trimester, and I do now in my third. So during my second trimester, I did feel as though my mental health started to kind of take a few steps backwards. And I did speak to my partner about this. I also spoke to my boss, and I also spoke to my GP. So here in Australia, you do, through the public health system, get a team of midwives and a team of appointments. My experience may not be the same as everyone else's, especially in the years coming, especially in this year. I was pregnant throughout the pandemic. I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. So the appointments were very different. A lot of my first appointments were over the phone with my midwives, and then because of my age and my health, and the fact I was considered a low risk pregnancy, I didn't go into the hospital as many times as someone that may be high risk, suffering with gestational diabetes, or as of an older age. They tend to go in more often than I did. I noticed that my appointments were quite sporadic and quite far apart with my midwives. So I just made sure that I saw my GP 1 to 2 weeks to make sure that my blood pressure and everything like that was at a safe level. So I did speak to my GP about my mental health and how I was feeling, and that what he recommended, and obviously he gave me a lot of amazing tips. He told me to make sure I was breathing, and a lot of us tend to forget basic things that can definitely help with our mental health. You know, we hear drink water, go for walks, meditate, things like that, and we tend to push that to the side, especially in everyday life. We're so busy with work, if you have children already, with your babies that you do have, and just everyday life tends to get so busy and overwhelming, especially if you're nauseous and have morning sickness. The last thing you are thinking about is getting out of bed and going for a walk when you barely can make it from your bed to the toilet without vomiting. However, it didn't necessarily put a fix on it. It was more just like a band-aid on a bigger problem that I was having. And I found work, although I love my job, I love my co-workers, I love my place of employment, was making things in my mind quite a lot worse. It was just having to go to work feeling so sick makes you upset. I was crying every day in the car on the way to work, driving to work. I would just bawl my eyes out. I wanted to be there, and it was so conflicting because I wanted to be there. I wanted to continue my normal routine. Obviously, being pregnant and worrying about finances was a big thing as well. I wanted to make sure that we still had enough of an income, but then I was also so overwhelmed with everything else. So it was just starting to pile on top of each other. So I was lucky enough that my partner was extremely supportive, and I ended up finishing work at 29/30 weeks pregnant. So it wasn't extremely early, however, was 8-ish weeks earlier than I was planning to finish. If I'm really out of breath, I am 9 months pregnant, so I've been talking for 27 minutes at this point. So I'm getting really out of breath and really tired. So I kind of just focused on myself once I finished work. I found my mental health got a lot better because I could focus on my physical health. So because then I started moving into my 3rd trimester and started getting more sick again, I realized that finishing work early was the best decision for me, because then the vomiting started a lot worse again. My migraines came back a lot more, getting bigger, just my back started hurting, my belly started hurting, everything that's very extremely common with pregnancy. I ended up being able to catch up with a lot more family and friends, because just as I ended up finishing work, restrictions started to lift quite heavily where I lived. So I was able to start visiting friends, family, go shopping a lot more, finish the nursery, things like that, and just kind of take some me time, focus on my mental health. Although a lot of days, I'm going to be real with you, was spent either in bed really sick, or yeah, pretty much just in bed really sick. My partner and I just went on a quick little getaway. We went away for 3 nights just to celebrate the last couple of weeks of just us, and especially with the pandemic, we didn't go too far from our house just in case Bub wanted to come early or anything like that. We planned a trip quite close to home and didn't go too far, and obviously followed all of our restrictions and everything like that. However, while we were away, he did propose, so that happened, and now we're just trying to get everything last minute ready for Bub. So that kind of brings us to today. I am currently 37 weeks and 6 days pregnant, so I'll be 38 weeks pregnant tomorrow, which means I am 2 weeks from my due date, which is insane. I can't believe he's going to be here so soon. His hospital bag is packed, however mine is not. I kind of put myself on the back burner when it came to doing all of this. So I will be filming a what's in my hospital bag probably in the next day or two, and I will show you guys what I've packed for him and what my partner Joel is bringing, although with restrictions, as we still are in a pandemic. Our hospital restrictions are from 8 AM to 8 PM he's allowed to attend, but then he will go home for the night. So he doesn't have to pack too much. I'll just show you what he's kind of bringing in the hospital bag for while I'm in labor. I am sure I've missed so many questions you may have, and I'm sure I've missed a lot of points that I could touch on. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them below in the comment section, or go and follow my Instagram, which is @AmberandBaby, and I will do Q&As quite regularly on my story as I start my YouTube channel. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. The hospital bag video will be up in the next couple of days, and then if you do have any other video requests for me to do, just pop them down below in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye guys.